So Parfums de Marly Sedley is one of my favorite fresh offerings from the brand. I've talked about this one a ton, have featured it in a lot of summer list videos, summer themed videos, even some spring style videos. Just whenever the weather starts warming up, this is one of the first ones that comes to mind, at least when I'm talking niche products. And I've featured it a lot. One of the main problems with this one is it can't reach as much of my audience as a lot of the other things I talk about, because the price point is a factor that does play into that heavily, and not everybody wants to or feels comfortable with spending this type of money on a fragrance. And it makes sense. You know, even when they run sales and you can get these down to, what is it, 165, maybe 170 for these 125 ml full presentation during those Parfums de Marly sales, that's still a lot of money, and it's way more than double the price of the retail cost of a lot of designers. So, you know, it makes sense. And now we finally have an affordable option, and I wasn't really sitting around and waiting for a clone of this to come up. I don't know why. This is kind of the last thing I was expecting to see a clone release of, but I'm happy to see it. And it's actually Latava Mahir Legacy. Really cool bottle on this one, fingerprint magnet for sure, especially when you're under some bright lights like this. Most normal lighting environments, though, won't be too much of a problem, but this is a clone of Sedley, and I had no idea what this was going into it, but I did see that Fragrance By got them into stock. It looked to be a newer release. I can't remember what they said, 2021 launch, 22, something like that. So not brand new, but something now that's kind of getting easier to get on the market. And so I'm like, you know, I'm going to pick it up. It's Lattafa. There are a couple others in this line as well, the original and I think one other flanker. I don't know what those are. This is the only one that I have. I'll probably go through and pick the others up at some point, but this is where we're starting right here. And so I'm going to run through the whole thing, tell you how it smells, how close it is to Sedley, how it performs, and ultimately if it is going to be a good pickup for you. Like I said, I did get this one from Fragrance By, purchased it myself, had a little haul through them, and so I figured, yeah, we'll go ahead and test this one out. They are kind of the best place to get clones. You know, FragranceNet, Joma Shop, Fragrance X, things of that nature will have them time to time, but Fragrance By seems to get them first, the quickest, and usually at the best prices. So if you are looking for clones, check out Fragrance By first and foremost. They do have this one right now, $36, I think. The presentation is also really nice. The box, I threw it away. Wasn't thinking ahead there. So buy one for yourself if you want to see what the box is like. It's not a whole lot of money, but it is cool. And so let's just dive right into it. I mean, when I first got this one in, again, I had no idea what it was in for. I didn't watch any videos on it. I didn't look on any websites. I don't even think this is on Fragrantica, at least as of right now. It wasn't when I got it in. I was just going in blind. I'm like, all right, let's see if I can figure it out on my own. And so I smelled it. The first time, I'm like, yeah, very familiar for sure. I knew right away that it was a clone of something. It's not one of their original releases. Kind of mulled over it for a second, smelled it a little bit more, and then I'm like, you know what, that is quite close to Sedley. Then I came down here, grabbed my bottle of Sedley, sprayed it on my right hand, sprayed this on my left hand, and started comparing. I'm like, yeah, this is definitely heavily inspired by Parfums de Marly Sedley. And immediately I was pumped up because I'm like, finally, we have something that I can recommend to you guys if you are on a budget and you want to get that DNA, you just don't want to swing the money for it. This is going to be it right here. So it does open up with that kind of fruity, ambroxany, citrusy, appley accord. You know, Sedley has always been very bright, very refreshing. That's one of my favorite aspects about it is, yes, obviously, fresh fragrances are usually going to be refreshing. But in the instance of Sedley, there's something very invigorating and bright and kind of textured and sparkly about it, especially off the opening. And along with all that musk coming in to kind of give it a little bit of a soft, slightly sweet feel, there's something that's always been very nice and just very, I don't know, something that kind of draws me in about that one. And this one also does capture a similar thing. It very much does have this minty green kind of aromatic opening off the top. So, you know, even Sedley, the bottle, is blue. This is, you know, just this reflective silver color. It kind of has a green smell to it, despite, you know, not necessarily looking like it would. You know, it's that minty kind of aromatic, sparkly kind of smell that it has that really gives it that unique texture. It's got a good dose of lemon, some bergamot. Like I said, a little bit of apple to my nose, but I don't even think apple is officially listed in Sedley itself. You know, that one more so is greenly, but it kind of has a little bit of that sweet citrus going on. And again, heavy on the aromatics. Lavender, rosemary, things of that nature to kind of give it a smooth, again, slightly sweet, textured feel in the kind of mid going into dry down. It actually gives it a little bit more of a mature feel somewhat. Not to the level of like a Dior Eau Sauvage, you know, aromatic fougere or citrus aromatic. But I do think sometimes people are quick to judge Sedley based off the opening alone and, oh, it's just, you know, another blue fragrance is kind of what they call it. But when you get into the mid and especially the dry down, the aromatic base that it has really helps make up for that kind of lost ground, so to speak, of just smelling like another style blue scent. You know, it kind of helps to give it a little bit more of a mature, well put together and refined smell. Heavy on the cashmere and heavy on the musk in the base of this one. There's some light woods as well, nothing too crazy. It's really just all about the mix of the aromatics and the geranium, the mint, just the citruses, the lemon, all of that stuff going on. Smells fantastic. Again, this DNA has been a favorite of mine for the warm weather for some time now, and this one does a really good job of capturing it. So let's talk about performance with this one. I know that's going to be interesting to a lot of people because I actually get good performance out of Sedley. Some people claim to not. That's an issue that I do believe was attempted to have been fixed by the brand. They actually reformulated it and made it better, supposedly. I only have one bottle, and the bottle that I have has always performed good. So that's kind of what I have to go off of. I haven't chased the rabbit hole of the batches with that. That's just not something I have interest in. But I've always gotten good performance out of it. And so this one I also get good performance out of as well. Now, keep in mind, we're talking summery style scents here. Generally, they're not going to be the projection monsters of like, you know, Parfums de Marly Carlisle or Mancera Red Tobacco, those winter style scents that just go for you know, miles, it seems like. The projection on these are going to be a little bit softer, you know, kind of just personal bubble range, maybe a little bit beyond, especially in the heat, because the heat with the musky sweet base of these will amplify it even more. So actually maybe even a bit beyond your personal bubble. More so longevity is what I look at. And the longevity on this has been fantastic for me. 9 hours or so. And I've been testing it here in this very above average spring weather we've been having. It's been very warm here recently, like 80 degrees, 78, 80, which is crazy and sunny. So very, very unseasonable for this time of year here where I'm at, but it's been working great. That 8 to 9 hour mark has been pretty consistent, and I've been really impressed with it, especially given the price. And that's pretty much on par with Sedley. Sometimes Sedley will go a little bit longer. I think this one also has the potential to go a little bit longer as I test it more and wear it more and adjust my spray, you know, amount and technique, depending on where you're applying it and so on. But really, it's been great so far. The Lattafas have been pretty good with performance across the board. I really haven't had too many issues of them being weak, and this one's no exception either. It really holds its own. Quality is also great. You know, it's not to the level of the Parfums de Marly. It's not to the level of a Dior or a Chanel or a YSL or, you know, things of that nature, right? We are looking at price point here, and things at this price point are going to have a lower quality relative to the things that are more expensive. Yes, there's markup. Yes, things are overpriced, and some things out there are overpriced and are worse quality. But when you kind of look at the benchmark, this one sits kind of just really into the price point that it's at, maybe slightly above. I do think this can kind of compete with some of the mid-range designer price scents on the market in terms of quality. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing synthetic, nothing sharp, no alcohol blast in the opening when you spray it on. It is smooth. It is well thought out. It's refined. And, you know, again, these clones have been getting really good, and Lattafa has been killing it. This is another great one. Very close to Sedley. I don't normally put a number on things because I find that's hard to be consistent with it if you're looking at a scale to be able to consistently give it an accurate number or rating each time, but it is very close. Definitely more close than it is different, for sure. 90+%. That's what I'll say. There are some minor differences, not enough to where it's worth obsessing over. It achieves most of that brightness of Sedley, minus this clone actually does have a little bit more sweetness, a little bit more aromatics, a little bit more focus on the cashmere and musky depth like faster. It gets to that stuff quicker is what I'm trying to say. The opening of Sedley, that bright kind of sparkling pop, so to speak, does last a little bit longer in the real deal. This one, it gets into the mid and dry down quicker. That's my main difference and my main issue, but it's, you know, a small price to pay for looking at the difference in price between the two. I have really no other complaints. That's going to do it for me. Latava Mahir Legacy. Nice presentation, great scent, very close to Sedley, and I love it because this is going to give you an option if you want to get into that scent for a fraction of the price. I will link it down below. Also, anytime something rare or discontinued, hard to find comes into stock, I send out an email to my mailing list subscribers. If you want to get in on that, you can hit the first link down below. You know, anytime Fragrance Buy drops some rare stuff like Lattafa Camera or, you know, the Tux, the newest Tuxedo clone by YSL, that's been pretty popular, Armaf Untold. Anytime stuff like that comes in, I send out an email because sometimes the emails that the discounters are supposed to send out don't work. Same with FragranceNet and all of the others. Anytime something good comes in, I notify you guys. If you want to get in on that, pick up some great things, link down below. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.